welcome needed for many. A day in which everyone will now say, I will start my championship and I will cement it. We head ourselves to the dunes here in northern the Netherlands here, and we got ourselves a Dutch all affair for getting things sorted here with your FIA F4 Global Esports Championship. My name's Jake Sperry, Keenan Kusin, along with me for today's action. And Keenan, it is going to be so critical to get off to I would say, a fruitful and plentiful start, knowing what comes along with this season.
Might be the first 2 rounds, Jake, but you need all the points that you can get. As you said, big prizes on the line here, and I'm sure every one of these drivers knows that. Some of the best Formula 4 drivers in the iRacing service from across the globe have all met here in this one crucible and trying to find out who is the king of the mountain.
Well, who wants to jump on top? They have one of the gruelest schedules out there, one of the most grueling battles they will deal with, because they don't know what they are racing until 24 hours before. And so when they have to get in to this FIA F4 Esports Global Championship presented by Moser Racing, they know they have minimal time to practice. It keeps the playing field even. So today for rounds 1 and 2, we got ourselves at Zandvoort to start this season, but just immediately after that, the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta, which, Keenan, I think for 2 circuits that have similarities and differences, it's going to be a really interesting start to this season.
That's the beauty, too, about the Formula 4 car, the FIA F4 cars. It's so good on so many different tracks, and especially these longer, almost grade 1 circuits, especially here at Zandvoort, where we're going to start. The racing is going to be very close. The draft is going to be very important, especially on this long front straightaway, and we're going to see a lot of close, big packs and lots of hard battle.
We certainly will. And let's take a look then, Keenan, at this Circuit Park Zandvoort, because this is a track that has gone through many iterations and is Europe's answer to oval-style racing.
Yeah, I mean, lots of banking, especially in the final really big, long right-hander of Artie Lewandijk. Nice to be able to give tribute to one of the Netherlands' most famous racing drivers. Obviously, there is a ton of changes that have gone on to this track, Jake, in the last few years, especially being operated for modern Grand Prix racing, and that is all reflected here in the iRacing sim. Lots of elevation change. There are some small technical sessions, especially here at the beginning of that third sector, but tons of banked corners, and you'll see that in the lines that these drivers choose to run today, especially in turn number 14 and turn number 3.
Yeah, there'll be great opportunities to show what they can do. The Hugenholtz corner is that massive banked profile that they have really opened up to, and of course that final corner. But this is going to be a tall order for many to go and say they can jump themselves up. So let's talk about how they deal with today. So they've had themselves 1 day to get themselves practiced. They've had 15 minutes to get their practice in play. Now, they've only got 1 lap available to them to set in qualifying. So that is a huge, big, got to get it right, hot lap qualifying. And then you sit down and say, race length is 15 minutes. So you've not got long if you've had a bad qualifying to go and make something happen. They're all on fixed setups. So everyone's playing with the same machinery here today. It's the best driver who gets it out. But critically, Keenan, that instant limit and disqualification limit, the same as they go normally.
Yeah, very similar to what the official series runs like, and then this is what they're playing for. $35,000, your total prize pool, up $10,000 from last year's $25,000, and first place is a cool $15,000. You got to imagine that that's going to be able to help keep the sim racing career going just a little bit longer, and that is going to be, if you're wondering why they're fighting so hard to get to the top step of the podium, it's a difference between $5,000 and $15,000.
And of course, $10,000 up as they go through. The remaining $5,000 of prize pool are split evenly across all qualifiers out there. So that will be a cool run for those who have put themselves the chance to jump into this championship qualifying through the regional tours that iRacing has put itself together. Well, qualifying, as far as it is concerned, is pretty much all wrapped up with a nice, neat bow on it. All 37 drivers, or 38 drivers that are here today have put their qualifying times down on the board. And if you want to find out some more information about this series and how to become a driver, you can log on to iRacing.com/FIA-F4-Esports, and you will get all the lowdown on what is going on over the course of this season, Keenan, critically, including keeping your eyes on iRacing socials for when the track reveals come to play.
Yeah, again, you don't know until you know, and then being able to get that work done, only 24-hour turnaround. Obviously, a lot of these drivers are very familiar with these circuits, but it's very different from knowing the corners and knowing the apexes to being race ready. And only 24-hour turnaround time, that's what's going to keep these races exciting as we get ready to start our first race of the season.
Absolutely, and it is a brand new driver on for pole position here today, and it will mean that it's the number 72 of Henry Moore who has got that control with Xander Reed alongside for company. The reigning champion Luke McEwen, a new team for him this year as he goes to Red Bull Redline, then in third as Alex O'Grady will start in fourth position. Martin Kadlachik is fifth with Aaron Vasquez P6.
And then starting row 4, Miguel Costa and Elvis Rankin with Isaac Phelps and Alejandro Sanchez rounding out your top 10. Our first Japanese driver, Shoma Shitani, going to be in row 6, and Dan Amore will be rounding out the top 12, Jake.
It's Dino Filippa who will then be on row number 7 in 13th. Graham Carroll representing Scuderia Ferrari HP Esports will be there in 14th, with Mehdi Kusha going from 15th, and then Pablo Mercerat alongside the Argentine. It's all Brazilians on row number 9. Felipe Dantas will have Victor Miranda for company.
Again, a very global series, and you see that now with Jaden Munoz driving out of Houston, Texas, in just inside your top 20, right next to Jordy Slater, and then Declan Webb and Gail Valero will be in row 11, and Yuki Okonogi and Felipe Cabrera. What a stacked field. You see someone like Felipe Cabrera that far back.
I'm surprised to see Pablo Espes back on row 13. Just in front of him is Andre Castro. You've then got Ralph Benitez in the number 69 machine. He'll go from 27th with 28 belonging to Jackson Rosenda. Flavio Dantas will be in 29th place, and it's Kazuki Fujita who makes up your 30.
Curtis Webb, Damon Woods will be in row 16 with Benny Roberts and Zach Rattray White, the two Australians sitting next to each other. Row 17, Yuta Saito and Jaden Laddick in row 18 towards the back of the field.
And there's your final two. Cody Deet way down the order. He's got the 7th highest I rating in the world. And Augustine Bernier will make up the final position, P number 38, as they set themselves up and ready and look to get themselves in for racing action. So, as they get themselves then onto the grid, they will know that they've got a very big race in front of them, and they'll know that they need an almighty start to go and get themselves going. So as it all sets themselves up, they know that this circuit is traditionally by the super high speed cars out there, like the Formula One style vehicles, Keenan, a tough place at the best of times to overtake. When you take that power back, you go to F4 spec, you have more opportunity to go and make moves, and that ability to slipstream and to position the car becomes more important.
And I think that's why this car is so popular, not just among the best of the best, Jake, but among the entire iRacing service. It's very fun to pass. It's almost fun on every track that you can take it to. And we're going to see a ton of aggressive drafting and 3 wides, 4 wides, especially firing off down into turn 1 as we get started with our rolling start.
Yeah, so control of the field then is with Henry Moore as they look to try and get their season off to a beautiful start here right now, and there are chances aplenty for many a driver to say this is what we can do. I would look around though at the driver in the number 41 as an interesting character to keep an eye out on over the course of this race, Keen, and that is Dan Moore. He has just changed teams for this season. He has moved to the stable at Coanda.
Yeah, and again, of course, you can't count out last season's champion of Luke McEwen. He's in the number 1 machine for a reason. Obviously, he also the change of stable, but going to one of the biggest powerhouses in sim racing in Redline Racing, Red Bull Redline Racing. And he might be starting second row on the grid, but I would not be surprised if we don't see the number 1 machine towards the front of the field quickly.
Well, here's something interesting from last season over to this. Over the 8 races, your champion, Luke McEwen, was only able to pick up 2 race victories over the course of the season. When you put that into perspective, if you've got a 1 in 4 hit rate of winning a race over the course of this season, Keenan, you are a title contender. It puts so much emphasis on what a race win is out there that these drivers will know how critical these races are going to be and how they can put themselves up at the highest level possible. A win today immediately cements yourself as a title contender.
Yeah, we talked about it at the top of the show too, Jake. Every win matters here. These races are short. They're 15 minutes long. Nobody's waiting around. There's no pit stops. There's no pit strategy. It is pick up all the positions as fast as you can. So there will be incidents. There will be comings together. So the most points you can pick up, especially now, as you said, start your championship off the right way with a win, why don't you?
Yeah, the best way to do so, and keep in mind there are drivers here in this racing that have done it all before. 2 wins for Luke McEwen in terms of his history. Alejandro Sanchez has 2 wins as well, and then Martin Kadlachik was able to pick one up last season. Didn't run here last season at the Circuit Park Zandvoort, so for Zandvoort it makes its first showing here in what is the racing in the FIA F4 Global Esports Championship presented by Moser Racing. So that will give a lot of opportunity and understanding for everyone as they work themselves on the back stretch right now over towards the right-left chicane of Hans Erst, which is one of the places you can get a pass done, and especially late you'll be keeping an eye out on what too wide will look like through here. The final couple of corners await these drivers now, which will be turns numbers 13 and 14 on this 4.26 kilometer circuit. They will know then that the iRacing sedan pace car will dive off into the pits, and racing action for 15 minutes will get itself started. It is all about hold on to your hat and give yourself as much of a chance as possible when you head into Tarzan Corner, turn number 1. Out there on track, when you know that your season relies on a good start in this championship, now is where you are starting to make your sense known. Pace car then, they give a little bit of a gap, dives off right into pit lane. Control is with Henry Moore, and let's get your FIA F4 Global Esports Championship presented by Moser Racing started, and immediately Luke McEwen and Alex O'Grady move over to the right-hand side. Xander Reed cannot close the gap as they head into turn 1. Unchallenged goes Henry Moore, and they go 2 by 2 through the first 5 as they now work through. One car spins in the background.
Yeah, you're going to see them go 2 by 2 as we're going to be using all the bank in the corners. That's what's unique here about Zandvoort, Jake, is you're going to be, oh, I think that's somebody up against the wall. That is, I believe, Dan Moore. They're 3 wide there towards about 10th in the field. No patience here. Again, 15-minute race. You don't have time to make any friends.
Miguel Costa ended up on the outside, and there's going to be a spin, and Graham Carroll's caught up in it, and that's going to take 3 out of the race then. I think it's also caught one of the pink machines out there, and that will be Dino Filippa, who's in there. Jaden Ladich has been caught up in that one too. So massive dramas on the first lap, but Moore has control of this race at the front and will be looking to try and build a margin at this stage. McEwen looking around right now because Aaron Vasquez is just behind him. Then it's Elvis Rankin, and then it's Alex O'Grady, who's really having to scrap now as they work themselves over towards turns 10, 11 and 12 out on track through Hans. There's just enough room being given then as they work their way through, and at least right now Elvis Rankin holds himself in place. He outranks.
Again, patience here is going to be really important. Stay in line, heading down to this front straightaway. Use the toe, use the slipstream to your advantage. Not surprised we see that 71 machine up there. Had a absolute war for the championship in the Skip Barber series in this car. He has tons of experience at the top level in the F4. Expect him to go to the front as we see a big move here from Cadlock to the inside and around corner number 1. Grady's going to try to defend on the outside. Using that banking, gets the run off the corner, keeps 6th place.
So Kadlachik then looking for a chance of making that move, and he didn't quite manage to get it sorted. Elvis Rankin, by the way, is a Skip Barber champion in the real world, and he's done wonderfully in terms of his regard in that. But for the moment, Vasquez, McEwen, Reed and Moore is 4th to 1st as they go. Your moves and shakers. Great start from the 88 of Andre Castro, +10.
Yeah, and you guys just be picking up positions where you left them. You've already had a significant amount of drivers with at least minimal or to major issues. So all you really have to do, especially if you're starting towards the middle back of the field, Jake, just stay clean. Keep your eyes forward and see what you can do. As you can see on the left side of your screen already, a lot of drivers that'll be looking to make up some ground in our second race when we get there, but still have to finish this out here. The Dutch roller coaster that is Zandvoort seems like we're settling down here towards the front.
Oh, a little wiggle in the back. Dana Moore scrapping hard with Isaac Phelps for position. Top 15 score championship points. So if you're outside the top 15, you've got every incentive to try and jump on in. Running out then and heading to turns 13 and 14. Ari Luyendijk then that corner 14 and looking to make that push along the main run. Zander Reed has himself 0.6 of a second to chase out, and we've got a slew of cars down in the pits on the opening lap. Graham Carroll, Dino Filippo, Jaden Ladich, Yuta Saito. There, a former iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series driver down in the pits. Declan Webb is another one who's down there, and there's two more that puts to the name, but changes on. Race for the lead, race for 13th on screen at this moment in time. And so you're looking around at Jaden Munoz, who's now having to really work hard, and they know that this group, second, third, and fourth, they can't afford to let that gap extend out too far.
Again, how much do you fight? How much do you fight for every position? We talked about it a bit before and how every position matters in this series. But the more you argue, the more you scrap amongst each other, the more you let that front group get away. So how long do you play nice? How long do you stay friends before you start becoming a racing driver and fighting for every position? As Jaden Munoz leads the tail end here, but battles all over the racetrack. That's just the kind of racing you're going to get with this car.
Absolutely, and so every place is going to matter and every move can be found, and so it is getting, oh, look how chipper it is in the bottom of your corner screen. Dana Moore will get a chance then to go through against Isaac Phelps. Alejandro Sanchez was the one who was trying to go through, and look at them, they're tangling wheels as they run themselves over to 11 and 12 here at Hans Erst. This chicane inside favours for the first part, but the long second half of it, Isaac Phelps is on the wrong side of Lady Luck. Behind that, Munoz, Shomi Shintani in there for the Williams Academy then, and Felipe Pujol Dantas, who is there in 14th place. So they're all there, they're all lining up, and they're all trying to find a run. Taking a look here with Jaden Munoz right now, very calm at this moment in time, trying to figure out where he needs to go, because there's a bit of side draft taken, and how much toe can I get to Tarzan?
Yeah, it's funny how quick things change. We were just talking about seeing if they can catch up to this lead group, and all of a sudden, Jaden Munoz and all those other drivers behind him are part of this conversation. Keep an eye on the 35 and the 41 leading this little trail, though. I don't think they're too big fans of each other right now, Jake Sperry. They passed initially that Moore had made to get to in front of Phelps. There was a little bit of contact, and it doesn't look like they're afraid of getting very close, a little bit of side pod banging. So I would not be surprised if the 35 of Isaac Phelps was ready to send that, give that receipt back to Dana Moore, and that might just be some free positions for Jaden Munoz. But now, again, talking about that, they've caught the lead group, another car, and Alejandro Sanchez now. That's just how important the draft and the toe is here.
Yeah, you've got that long crested rise heading towards She-Black corner that gives everyone this opportunity. Then it's 4 straight right-hand corners in a row before they have the left of the CM.com corner. Oh, and look how wide there the steering's going to need to be for Isaac Phelps. He has to work back up then to the front of this field, and they've kept Henry Moore in range here, half a second for Zander Reed, but McEwen's there, Vasquez is there, Elvis Rankin, Alex O'Grady, Martin Kadlachik, and then Miguel Costa trying to hold on to the back of this one desperately. So I would say it's 7, nearly 8. The man from Placida, Florida is trying to get himself a chance, but he leaves himself exposed here, and he has to follow religiously here in front of Henry Moore. He doesn't, and just leaves a gap open for McEwen, the champion, to dive down the inside, and he will force that way through. Here comes Vasquez, ever the opportunistic. Aaron Vasquez will now look to slip his way through at Gerlach, but he's got the critical banking needed to make the pass here around the Hugenholt and attack off of the exit. He's got it.
Yeah, especially with that bank corner, just like you said, Jake. Get the run off the corner. He's going to lose another position too there. Drops all the way back to 5th. Almost, ooh, Brady's trying to make it for 6th, but not going to quite get the nose in. There is fights all over. Again, that's just how fast it changes. Luke McEwen was kind of the cork, then shuffles Zander Reed all the way back. He's going to try to make a stab to catch Henry Moore now, who has been uncontested at the front of this field for 5 straight laps.
And Keenan, what's really critical here is you've got Luke McEwen and Aaron Vasquez, two drivers who have earned their right by their championship finish last season. And then you've got Henry Moore, who's had to qualify his way in. How these drivers have qualified has been absolutely magnificent.
Yeah, again, there's not easy to get into this field, and you can see that just by the names that we've seen here. Look at your top 5. Look at the teams represented in your top 5. And again, the best drivers from all over the sim racing world, all over the globe, all represented under this banner of Global F4. As again, Henry Moore looking to make a statement. He's got 2 champions, 2 absolute gladiators in the sim racing world behind him. As again, quickly from 2nd to 5th, the view for Xander Reed in just one short lap, Jacob Sperry, has changed significantly.
It has. He's now back down there in P5, and behind him, 6th and 7th are trying to change for places. So he's got a bit of breathing room now to get his head focused. He's only got 7 minutes now to try and gather this all back. You take that look behind. Look at them, wheel to wheel. It's O'Grady on the inside, and he covers off Kadlachik, and they've just brought Miguel Costa, the Monegasque driver, back into play.
Almost a little bit of a slide job there, just trying to cover off the inside, slides the car up wide, blocks any sort of line that Martin could have possibly had. And what a run off the corner now. Alex O'Grady hanging on to 6th place, still got some tow for 5th. This is still very much at least a 6-car battle for the lead, as if I'm not mistaken, Luke McEwen starting to chip away at the lead now with Henry Moore. Again, been uncontested at the front of the field, but it was a couple car lengths. Now it's down to about 1.5, maybe 2. They're catching him.
And so as they go, Luke McEwen, a driver who has been on the podium in this series on 5 occasions. He has done such a great job. He's had 2 pole positions in his career and 2 fastest laps to boot as well. And he's really being hounded by Aaron Vasquez, a driver who has never won in this series, but he's finished on 3 occasions in 2nd. So he's someone who can really find an opportunity to make this pass happen. So I'm looking around. Vasquez is someone, again, who's got a wonderful run to get this done. But Keenan, here comes the look. He'll try and have to do it the long way around to make it happen. And look at how Luke McEwen comes across the circuit and just decides, you know what? I'm going to pinch you as far as you can, leave you racing room, 1 car width.
But now Aaron's got the run on the outside. Actually, he doesn't quite get it. I don't know if he just ran into a little bit of the dirt there on the outside, but Luke McEwen defends on the inside and was, again, kind of have to be up towards the top here. That's just such a unique feature about Zandvoort, as now almost under threat from behind from Elvis Rankin. Now, as you said, champion in the Skip Barber Racing world, is their side-by-side. Now with Vasquez trying to defend on the inside, gets it done. They're back single file, but all this fighting, they were right to the back of the leader, and now that gap has opened up again. How much do you try and choose for individual positions and then wait to go for the lead? I don't know if this fighting is smart. We still got a decent amount of this race lap.
Look, the issue that they're going to run into now is that the moment the inmates start fighting in the asylum, they're going to let the police warden walk away, and that's what they can't afford to have at this moment. Henry Moore in the 72, which is my favourite number to have on a car as well, is going to have an absolute field day at this moment, being at the front. McEwen in 2nd, Vasquez 3rd, and everyone else is just in the train, trying to figure out what they can do, where they can go, how they can find these passes. They know they've given Dana Moore and Isaac Phelps the slip, and then that group is trying to fight for the remaining points out there with Shintani Castro and Dantas as those who are hoping to try and manage that. But on the main straight, they head once again, and this is where they have now realised, okay, we can't fight for this now. We've got to get into line. We've got to stop Henry getting the victory.
Yeah, and no one told Alexander or Alex O'Grady that. Big send to the inside there. He's up to 5th. He's been hanging at the back end of this field. I think he's tired of waiting. If he thinks he can win this race, it's time for him to go. You have to start making moves now, especially if you're only going to get 1, maybe 2 overtakes done per lap. If you see that top 4 starting to group up, starting to get away, it's time to go. As again, Jake, we got battles all over the racetrack. As you said, 15th on ahead is going to pay out points. You can't fight. You have to fight for every position you have. Even if you're out there towards the back, those are still crucial points to your championship. You already have to start thinking about it with how short the season is.
Yeah, you've got to start trying to build your championship together. 1 bad round is enough to upset the entire season if you're not careful. So keep an eye on that, because your points, your final points. Jaden Munoz is the one who is holding on to that, and there's a shuffle back there in that group. That's going to be Curtis Webb, who finds himself wrong place behind Damon Woods now, Felipe Cabrera Loyola. So that doesn't work, but for the moment, it's Geordie Slater who's looking for points on debut in the 73. There is Geordie at the moment, races out of Brisbane and looking to try and get himself then up the order and find himself a chance to go and make this move. He's got Yuki Okanogi just behind, who's trying to make it happen, and it is so tough for the Australians and the Japanese drivers, Keenan, to make it work in a championship like this. They've got to race it very early in the morning.
Yeah, again, early to bed, early to rise. That's just kind of the sacrifices you have to make. And again, huge run for Geordie Slater so far, up from 20th on the grid. You're going to see Munoz go defensive to the inside. He's going to have the outside line, which normally is unpreferred, but look at the banking. Can he make the run on the outside? Munoz is going to see it coming. He closes the door, but Geordie could go for the send here inside of turn 3. I don't think he's going to get it done. Again, just trying to stay in line, but the longer you stay in line, the longer you fight. Look how many more names have joined the party. Contact behind. I think that was Yuki, and then he's going to come a couple of cars behind him, so maybe that line behind is not as long as it was 2 corners ago.
Flavio Dantas is another driver who's been caught up in it. It's a big accident to have at the wrong time. You go low to high, it's too wide. I think it was Jackson Rosunda who is ending up getting caught up in it. So he ends up being the wrong place, wrong time for them as they now move about and have all of that completely changed. Munoz now with a lot of clearance to have at this stage.
Yeah, again, every position matters. No one's going to leave an inch as we get into the twilight of this race. Just a couple of laps remaining here, as look at how close this battle for the lead has gotten. Luke McHugh and Aaron Vasquez have put down their weapons and decided to fight. My enemy of the enemy is my friend. Let's just get in line. Let's gain this position, because obviously Henry Moore has eaten his Wheaties this morning. He's had just so much pace. But look at the lap time difference. The difference in qualifying and the difference in pace between these drivers. I don't know if we saw it.
Here we go.
With qualifying times, as we see side by side for the lead. First time today, Henry Moore going to go to the inside, try to defend against Luke McEwen. Luke tries to get the run on the outside, Jake. Not going to happen. That's Henry defending. But now he knows the pressure is on.
He knows it on the final lap. Henry Moore from Bradford on Avon, holding off Luke McEwen from Brighton. Aaron Vasquez sits there in 3rd. Elvis Rankin in 4th position. Can only watch these drivers up at the front. The run-up Sheevlack last lap. Henry Moore had to defend it, and you've got to go over the curb and defend it. Use some of the national circuits that they have here to make it happen, and it's not going to work through Sheevlack corner. They're now going to have to figure out another way to get this past. If you can take Masters corner better than anyone else, you've got a great shot. And what a run by Vasquez here to try and get this sorted. McEwen, though, doesn't quite have the line, and you're waiting for the tiniest morsel of mistake to go and make this happen. Vasquez having another search there at turn 10. That one will not go, but on the exit, he's got a great run on Luke McEwen here, and if he can hold it around the outside, he might have a shot. But for the moment, it's Henry Moore. He's been given the answer here, because Vasquez has been fighting so hard. They're deep into the corner as they try and work through, and there might be a chance for Elvis Rankin to steal this podium away. But with 2 corners to go, he's been given a runaway. He's dominated this race from the front of the field, and I say, give me more. Give me Henry Moore. Comes out of Arie Luyendyk and will take the opener and sends a message to the champion.
Yeah, again, huge finish for Henry Moore, winning on debut here, the 72 to number 1. But behind him, Luke McEwen, Aaron Vasquez rounds out your podium. Elvis Rankin and Alex O'Grady will round out your top 5. But what a start for Henry Moore. He had the best of the best behind him. He fended them off and just had a comfortable, controlled, and mature race from the front.
There's not much more that you can say about that. That was a consummate drive from Henry Moore, and he'll look behind and see the caliber of names and go, who? As he came over towards the line. Absolutely wonderful. Henry Moore then picks up the win in 15 minutes, 36 seconds. He wins by 3/10 over Luke McEwen, with Aaron Vasquez in 3rd. Elvis Rankin and Alex O'Grady will be 4th and 5th, with Martin Kadlachik and Miguel Costa, your top 7 as they go, all from the European region. Xander Reed, well, with the exception of Elvis Rankin, Xander Reed in 8th place ahead of Dana Moore in 9th, and Isaac Phelps rounding out your top 10.
And Andre Costa, Alejandro Sanchez, 11th and 12th. Shoma Shatani, our first Japanese driver, in 13th. Felipe Dantas, Jaden Munoz, 14th, 15th. Jordy Slater went up from 20th, almost in the points positions, but just not quite making it. Jaden Munoz, the keeper of the championship points here in round number 1. And there is the rest of the field. Unfortunately, again, we did have some incidents. We did have some comings together. That's just F4 racing, baby. And we had a really great race for the front. We had a really great race in the middle. We had a really good race towards that points paying positions. But again, Henry Moore will be at the top step of the podium and the first winner here in a FIA Global F4 Series season. And what a start for that season for that driver.
Yeah, 2 big names down at the bottom there, Yuta Saito and Graham Carroll, both who have great pedigree and experience for well over a decade of sim racing each. And so they have found themselves with a world of trouble to start their championships off. But Keenan, we've been talking about it, that when you get to the top level, it's not about how you make that move, it's about when you go and make that move. And I think that is so critical.
Yeah, I mean, you have to fight for every position. It is a race. It's a championship. Every position matters. Whether you're second, third, fourth, fifth, obviously we got to go for it. But the more we fight amongst ourselves, the more chance we have to let other groups pull away, other drivers pull away. And I mean, you saw it in this race. There was a lot of arguments. There was a lot of conversations for second, third, and fourth. And it just let Henry, he was challenged once in 11 laps.
He certainly was. And I believe you've taken the virtual walk down the paddock and you find yourself with your winner overall in terms of this race. Henry Moore will be standing by here with Keenan Kusin.
Henry, congratulations. First race of the season, first win. That's got to be a great start to your championship.
Over the moon, really. Can't ask for a much better debut in the series. And obviously first round of the season, then pole and a lights to flag win. So, really happy.
And of course, going into Road Atlanta, Henry, sorry about that. Going into Road Atlanta, it's a very different racetrack now. Don't have as much of the bankings as we've seen in a couple of those other corners. Totally different part of the world. How are we feeling in confidence going to trying to go back to back here today?
It's obviously completely different. I think the race will play out very differently. We've got the massive back straight, so there'll be a lot of tow, especially with this F4 car. So we'll just have to take it as it comes. I'm quite confident in terms of my pace. We'll see.
Congratulations once again. Good luck, and we'll see Henry Moore once again in our second race here at Road Atlanta, starting very, very shortly, Jake.
Some wonderful racing that has brought itself together, and Henry Moore, a very happy lad after racing action there from the championship owner. We're going to have a great chance now to look into what we've got coming up next. Stay with us here on iRacing, because round 2 of the championship is just on the other side of this.
Sometimes you got to get back to your roots. Remember where it all started.
Is it all a fever dream?
NASCAR Thunder 2000.
Our goal was simple: make it authentic. The stories,
There's a fight using lessons learned from his father.
the fans, the rivalries,
Harvick got into the side of the tree.
that feeling of being part of it all. That's why we went to work on this game. We've heard you. It's been a long time since we've had a game that captures what the sport is all about. Well, time is now. This one's built for the fan, for anybody who wants to experience what it's really like. All right, let's go. From the sound to the speed to the venue.
Daytona International Speedway.
Back at Darlington Raceway.
All there's left to do is fire it up.
Well, if there was anything to be gleaned from a circuit like Zandvoort, we now head to the home of Petit Le Mans. This is the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta here in Braselton, Georgia. On the best of times, it is one of the toughest openings you can find on the American continent. At the worst of times, it is an absolute nightmare. This is a circuit that takes names and remembers them. Jake Sperry, Keenan Kusin bringing you all of the coverage. And Keenan, this is going to be, I would say, as subtle as a punch to the jaw, how difficult this track is.
I mean, we said FIA Global, we meant global, right from the beaches of the Netherlands to just northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, and Braselton. One of the most exciting racetracks in North America. The elevation change here, the tightness of the racetrack, that big, long back straightaway, the run up to turn 10A and B. And then we went to the Dutch roller coaster. Now we're in the roller coaster of the South here in one of the best racetracks that this country has to offer.
Let's take a little look at what makes this circuit tick then at this moment. What an incredible track it is, because it's got all the elevation change at the opening sector, and then you think the top half of the circuit is quite simple. Two right-handers of 90 degrees. Both, though, have very different profiles, and then you've got that run to 10A and 10B.
Especially on the low, another corner I'm going to look at is turn 3. These cars are really low, Jake, that you can't see the braking points. It's a blind turn-in. You can't see anything. And again, we didn't talk about it that much in the first race. It's really easy to get off tracks here on the iRacing service. If you can't see where you're going, you're going to turn in a little bit early. And these cars don't like the bumps as much as with more traditional cars that race here, the GT3s, the prototypes. They will get knocked around. They will get bumped around. The reason we called it a roller coaster.
They certainly will, and so they'll have to keep their eyes on a swivel, knowing how much this circuit is going to fight them at every stage of the way. Let's take a little look at what has made this championship tick so far. So we've had Zandvoort that we've run with round 1. We're here at the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta round 2. This is the last chance tonight to go and pick up your points here, and they've got to wait 2 weeks for the next one, and it's not like they can even practice in the middle of it, Keenan.
Yeah, again, I think that we haven't put enough emphasis on that. Obviously, some of the best drivers in the world in the F4 machine racing with us this evening. But on top of that, they only had 1 day to practice. These tracks are all familiar to them, don't get me wrong, but being able to be race ready for not just 1, but 2 very different circuits is such a massive undertaking. The last 24 hours for these drivers must have been hectic, to say the least.
Well, just as the races are out there, because they'll only have 15 minutes over the course of this race length, and they'll have 15 minutes or 10 minutes of practice to go and work with as they come up. They've got 1 lap of qualifying, though, to put it together. And what we saw in qualifying there, Keenan, in round 1 of the championship is the difference between first and 31st is 8 tenths.
Yeah, qualifying so important here. And as you said, not long races. So the farther up front that you can start, you're almost guaranteed to stay clear of what will be the inevitable melee that will happen, whether it's lap 1, lap 2, whenever that ends up happening. The more you can stay clean and stay ahead of all these issues, the more you can have a chance to be able to pick up some points to the end of this race, as we saw in our race number 1 from Zandvoort, Jake.
Yeah, let's take a little look at what happened in race number 1. It was a frantic affair, especially at the start for those in the mid to late pack. They all got caught out, and so the pack effectively segmented at 8 or 9, and that created the divide. And that's what we tend to see as they go through. Coming out then of the Hugenholt and up the hill, you are relying on drivers just making sure they're avoiding issues out there on the opening lap. If you get through lap 1, you've got a great chance to make the race.
Yeah, again, we saw drivers that were started in the 30s almost have a chance at earning points there just by staying clean and making really smart decisions. These races are not long. You will have to get aggressive. You're not going to be able to have the time to make friends out there, but just making smart decisions, as you see right there, too, getting shoved off into the wall. That, again, that's why I said those two may have an argument. Didn't see it, but you're going to start making enemies race number 1, Jake. You got to deal with the same drivers for an entire season.
Look, when drivers make mistakes, they have memories like goldfishes. When someone makes a mistake and it involves them, Keenan, they have memories like elephants.
Yeah, I can't say I blame them. You've raced against people where I was in a lobby with you 4 years ago and you touched me slightly. That jail for you. So you got to imagine when there's $35,000 on the line, total prize pool here, that we're going to see more elephant memories than goldfish.
Well, as they get themselves into practice, they will be familiar with the car, but they're going to have to detune from one circuit and retune into another. So Luke McEwen, the reigning champion, the best of those at the moment of doing so in practice. Martin Kadlacik is there at the moment. But as we know with practice, Keenan, you can go about, whoa, on a two-way, massive incident there as they were heading through turn 3. One of the things you're going to find is you can either use this practice to get your qualifying pace up or use this practice to get a little bit of race pace understanding.
Yeah, again, you'll see that the difference. Look at the lap times right now. We talked about it a bit before. I mean, you mentioned it actually. Look at the difference, 2/10 between first and 16th, and this is what they're racing for. A total of $35,000. That's $10,000 more than last season. And again, look at the difference between first and second. Obviously, money's money, but the fights for the wins will be bloodthirsty and brutal because the difference of $10,000 is on the line.
Yeah, but let's talk about this in a realistic term here, Keenan. 2/10 of the second is the equivalent price drop at the moment of $14,550.
Yeah, that's no small amount of money. That's not a drop in the bucket whatsoever. So imagine, if I find a 10th, I can make another 14 grand this year. That's a huge undertaking. Again, that's just what this series is. Fixed setup, 15-minute races, a car that everyone's very, very familiar with. One of the most popular cars on the iRacing service, period, is the F4. Whether you're just getting started or one of these juggernauts that are on the racetrack here right now, very, very familiar. There's a reason for that. Super fun car to drive. It's easy to get into, but hard to master. Something a lot of sim racers seem to be magnetized towards.
And so if you're looking to try and get yourself up into this championship, the way that you try and qualify as we go on board with Henry Moore, your winner from race number 1 from Bradford-on-Avon over in the United Kingdom, you're looking to try and say, well, how do you get here? How do I get to that high level? Well, firstly, if you're not part of this championship and you haven't won yourself in, you've got to go through the regional tour qualifiers, and those run at a select point in the season, and you've got to make sure you're going up against the best that your region can offer.
Yeah, again, the higher the split, the higher the chance you have of making it into the global championship. And that's why we're seeing drivers represented from all over the world. Just taking a look at the entry sheet, you have, of course, we had 2 drivers from the United Kingdom up there, Spain, the Czech Republic, Dubai, and the UAE, Australia, Japan, of course, good old the US of A, and everywhere in between. It is global, not just in name, but in roster and in every sense of the word, and especially all the racetracks that we're going to. Said it before, we'll say it again. We went from the Netherlands to the good old down south here in Georgia in only a few minutes' time. The traveling logistics here on the iRacing service are just second to none.
Absolutely. First time as well that we'll be running Road Atlanta in this series as well. So that gives no frame of reference from past seasons to say who can be quick and who can jump up to that level. But consistency is going to be king for those who want to go for it. And if you are brand new to us and you want to get a little bit more understanding about your FIA F4 Esports Global Championship presented by Moser Racing, you can head over to iRacing.com/FIA-F4-Esports, and that will give you all of the rundown. It will keep you an eye on the championships, an eye on the standings, an eye on what's coming up next. And so you will have that understanding, Keenan, of knowing everything of what goes on when you get into FIA F4 Esports.
And who's to say somebody watching right now, Jake, isn't in our next season's championship? Again, one of the most popular vehicles on the service, one of the most popular series on the service is the F4 and all the different tracks it goes to. Somebody watching right now could go out to the iRacing service, pick up the F4 car, and end up in this championship next season. And this could be the moment as we have our drivers enter one of the most stressful qualifying sessions in sim racing, a lone one-lap qualifying, one chance to be able to set this to the top of the podium. And as we said in the pre-broadcast, you have one issue, one little wiggle of the car, one tire off course, that is your lap deleted, and you'll be starting from the back. We've seen what happens when you start from the back.
Yeah, it is very tough when you go from that position. Track temperature out there for qualifying is 28 degrees, so I'd call that ideal conditions for these laps. But what they're dealing with right now is that they've got one lap to set, Keenan, but they've got 10 minutes to work with. So do you want to go out early and set the benchmark, or do you want to go out later and see what you have to be?
it's a super interesting point you brought up because it's something that you definitely see. Some drivers will try to wait, maybe see if the track comes down a degree or two. And for you and I, maybe that doesn't sound like that much of a difference. But for somebody with the hands, as our professionals out here today, the 1 or 2 different degrees in track temperature, even in Fahrenheit, could be all the difference in the world. As Elvis Rankin, somebody who knows about hot temperatures from the deserts of Arizona, going to be heading down this big, long, sweeping right-hander, turn 11 and 12, or turn 11, and heading into the front straightaway. Start his only for lap here, Jake, here at Road Atlanta.
Well, turn 1 is a massive opener as you go. You've got to hook it through the right-hander out to the exit and crest the rise. Then you look towards turns 2 and 3, and it forces you to change your braking zone at 2, over the curb at 3, and then through turn 4. You now dive for the S's here, which is not labelled as a corner, but you try and straight line as much as you can. It's like a whitewater rapid, and then is the left hook of turn 5. Up over the top, use as much curb as you can. Many cars find themselves spinning through that section. It is a corner that strikes fear into the hearts of many mortals. But turn 6, on camber right-hander, think it's very easy, you slingshot into the corner. Turn 7, off camber right-hander, spits you out if you're not paying attention, and then you've got to work along this long straight to make the lap work. This is turn number 8, that small flick that you go through. Turn 9 will approach over the top of the crest and over the top of the next one as well, because you take that turn as you rejoin with the club circuit on the right-hand side, and now down the hill, a depreciation into the braking zone of turns 10A and 10B. Makes braking very late into the corner, but out of 10B, hold your line under the entrance to the paddock bridge, and now down the hill over towards that final corner of 12 and crossing the line. Crossing it, it's a 120 flat, and that's good enough for second.
It's not going to be good enough for first, as again, we got the times rolling in. We should be seeing a lot more in the 19s as we start getting in. We got Dana Moore there cracking in the 19s. Martin as well is the top of the leaderboard. That's Martin Kavlicek towards the top, but we still have tons of times left to come in. Again, look at the difference in lap times here from first place to I think 12th, maybe a 10th, maybe 2. Alejandro Sanchez getting a lap in there. That's a 1:19.976. That's good enough for third place. As right now, I'm looking for our previous winner's lead time, and he is nowhere near where we expected him. Henry Moore down in 14th right now.
And Luke McEwen in 13th. So your top 2 from the opener, nowhere out there at the moment. And so now you start asking the question of who's going to go out there. I look at Aaron Vasquez, who hasn't put a lap in, and go, right, that's panic. His lap hasn't gone the way it's needed to then as he's tried to put it together. So if Vasquez has got nothing, this championship is going to have a complete shake-up, and we talk about consistency being king. The most consistent driver to go on board with Flavio Dantas here on the back stretch is Elvis Rankin, 4th in race 1, 4th in qualifying.
You may have the winner of the day, Jake, be somebody who didn't even touch the podium today. That is just a real, very real scenario as we still ride along with Dantas coming down into the super steep run into 10A and 10B. Really important you carry your speed through here. You want to try maybe running a little bit wide. That could be the lap deleted, but he stays in it. Stay in midline here, something you can do in the F4, crossing the line. And that's just some extra practice for Dantas. Already has his lap time in of a 20.2. He's got a 20.282, and he's in 22nd. Your pole time's a 19.94. You want to think this field is close? You want to think this is evenly matched and everybody has a chance out here to win? Look at these lap times.
It is so tough, and everyone knows 0.4 of a second will just put you outside of the top 20. Victor Miranda then is someone who is trying to move himself then into position in the number 17 car right now, and hoping that he could get that progress coming out of 10B, going under the Fox Factory Bridge and charging towards the line. We'll see what sort of response it is going to be from Miranda, and the answer to that is this is his flying lap now. He'll be one of the last to set that time and put himself together. You will look around at drivers like Shoma Shintani, who's just done a 120.7 and said it's not quite what we're looking for, but cresting up and over, you've got to make sure as the last opportunity out there to set a time that you are giving yourself as much credit as you want to. If he looks at some of his Brazilian compatriots, he'll be looking around the top 20. He'd love to be in the top half, but ideally top 15 is the aim, which is a 120.1 or better.
Yeah, again, something in the 15th position at least. Again, it's obviously you want to win, Jake. We keep putting so much emphasis on this championship, but with how chaotic this is and how the style of racing, just scoring points is so important. As we stay on with Miranda here, the Brazilian driver trying to spread his wings, got that bird on the front of the vehicle, trying to being able to break through into at least the top 15, not the top 10, the top 5, and be a factor here in this race. Big run down in a 10AB. This is his flying lap, 1 per driver. Really cuts the inside of that corner really nice. You could take a little bit of curb on the inside. You just got to be careful you don't go too far and then getting some sort of penalty or off track. Where will this place Miranda? Cross the line. And
25th.
That is going to be 25th with a 20.397. Again, looked fast, certainly was fast. I know that these hands can't do a 20.3 around here, but only 25th place. What a field we have with it this season.
And there are some huge shocks out there in qualifying. The biggest is car 71. Aaron Vasquez will not be able to get a time on the board. He'll have to go from the back and try and find points here. That is going to be a tall order in what is 15 minutes worth of racing action. But in terms of how they stack themselves up for today's running, this is a case of a first ever pole position in the championship for Martin Kadlacik, who was able to put it all together on the board. A wonderful result there for him in terms of his qualifying effort. And Keenan, you have to say that experience is paying off for certain drivers.
Yeah, I mean, look, Elvis Rankin up there in the top 5. As you said earlier, we could see an overall winner for the day. The most points out of these first 2 races be somebody who didn't even get to the podium, as he's the only one there who was in the conversation for that top 5 in the first race. That's still in the conversation here. And then you see names way further down the leaderboard than you expected. Again, our P1, P2 from the last race are 13th and 14th with Luke McCune and Henry Moore. We have Pablo Espez, who's still in 16th position. There is names all over this field, Jake, that could go forward, could go backward. Another one we haven't really talked about, Alex O'Grady. He's still around the 6th and 7th position. Zach Rattray White now in the top 10. There is a lot to talk about and only 15 minutes to be able to have that conversation.
Yeah, and we are just on that cusp of what makes this track happen. But when it comes to this race here, Keenan, you sit down, you say, right, how am I going to get myself out of trouble in races like these? It is such a treacherous opening lap with that S's section. If you go too wide, there is always a 50% chance risk at best of finding yourself in the barriers, out of the race, sliding and spinning through the grass. It is one of the toughest opening sectors of the championship.
And I mean, it's not a go-kart in an F4 car, but with the style of racing is very similar. You have big trains, lots of drafting, especially with that long back straightaway. All it's going to take is one person with a little bit more bravery than brains, and you got a 10-car pileup, and this race is totally different. No cautions, no repairs. If you have a major incident, you lose a wheel, that's it, you're done, you're parked. So all it will take is somebody getting a little bit brave into the S's, Jake, trying to go too wide, maybe somewhere you shouldn't, and the situation here is going to change drastically.
But you do have 10A and 10B as a great place to pass. But if you can't get it done there, turn 1 is one of the most committed overtaking zones you have. You've got to get to the inside and command the apex.
Yeah, and again, run up to turn 3. That's basically a single line corner. I'm sure that will get proved wrong here in just a moment's time. But you want to be single file before turn 3, because if you're going too wide through there, you open up doors to the S's. As anybody who's ever done an official race here at Road Atlanta, you start going 2-3 wide through the S's, it's not going to work for anybody.
No, it certainly won't. Qualifying has now been put in the books, and it is official that qualifying is now complete. So the grid has now got itself set for racing action then here from this wonderful circuit of the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. And so we'll have the opportunity then in just a couple of moments to run ourselves through the starting grid, where Martin Kadlacik has that pole position, and it's 3 Coanda cars around him. Dana Moore, the new driver from Trowbridge, Alejandro Sanchez, and then Elvis Rankin in 4th. Miguel Costa had a great run in the first race at Zandvoort. He starts 5th with Isaac Phelps in 6th.
Just outside of that top 6, of course, Alex O'Grady, we saw him in a ton of battles in that first race. Maybe he can move up a little bit, but it's a very consistent run from him so far. Cody D, Zach Rattray right now entering the conversation in the top 10. Damon Woods there right alongside him. The keeper of 10th place, Xander Reed and Jaden Munoz will round out your top 12.
Luke McEwen, the reigning champion, will have to go from 13th, and the winner of the opener at Zandvoort, Henry Moore, is 14th. Then it's Graham Carroll who needs a reprieve in 15th alongside Pablo Espes. Felipe Cabrera will start 17th, the Chilean, with Augustin Bernier in 18th.
And Dino Felipa, the only Argentine in competition today, side up against Andre Castro, another one of the Americans, and then all Brazilian lineup in row number 11, Felipe Dantas, Gael Valero, the Frenchman, in row 12, with Jackson Rezende, the other Brazilian, just at the back of that row.
Victor Miranda has Benny Roberts for company on row 13. Then you've got Kazuki Fujita and Geordie Slater, 27th and 28th. Curtis Webb starts 29th alongside the 30 car in 30th, Pablo Mercerat.
Yeah, he's going to be in my DM saying there are two. There's two of us, actually. Declan Webb and Jaden Lack. And in the row 17, two of the Japanese drivers, Shoma Shitani and Yuki Okonogi. And then Aaron Vasquez, again, not getting a lap time in, with Mehdi Kusha rounding out that 18th row. And then your final two starters, Jake Sperry, Ralph Benitez, and Yuka Saito, all drivers who did not get a lap time in. So easy to do here. You just step over the line just a little bit. It's so easy to be able to get your lap time deleted. Only one shot as we are on the grid, ready to go.
And it pays to have iRacing, because Vasquez, who is one of the best in the world in terms of GT iRacing, Aaron Vasquez has 13,000 out there at the moment in iRacing. He gets himself on top ahead of Kusha, Benitez, and Yuta Saito, who's down at the back. Yuta Saito ran in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series with the Radicals Online team back in the day alongside Kazuki Umeshima. So someone who can definitely make it happen at the best of times. But with Kadlachik, who's experienced victory before, Dana Moore, Alejandro Sanchez, and Elvis Rankin, this is going to be a hold your nerve style of position as they get themselves set. We are ready here at the Michelin Raceway Road at Atlanta. Everybody knows how tough of a start it is going to be, so hold on to your hat. Green flag in the air, and we are underway for round two's worth of racing, and it's all about giving yourself platform. Kadlachik's got it covered against Dana Moore. Alejandro Sanchez can't do much. Miguel Costa looking for a move into turn number one. He's going to get the charge up the rise as they head to turn three. Inside line covered off though, and it's going to stay with a Coanda 2-3-4 as they work themselves through the opening sector.
Again, all single file as they get for turn three, not the place you want to make a move. These cars have so much toe, so much pull in the draft. You just want to be able to settle this conversation, be able to have it again on the back straightaways. I don't think anyone told anybody in the back of the field, as we are in one big choo-choo train here. Going into turns 6 and 7, late apex here, turn 7. Who gets the run down the back straightaway?
Well, it's too clear at the moment. Sanchez has left a gap here for Dana Moore to attack Martin Kadlachik out there. So the front looks very interesting, but it's now about hold yourself in the lane, keep yourself steady, and know that places are going to have to be gained each and every time they head to 10A and 10B. So Sanchez will be looking about here, and we'll get a little push there from Elvis Rankin saying, come on, let's giddy up, let's go. We don't want Costa, we don't want Phelps, we don't want O'Grady. They're all there. They've all had a good race one of the championship. They want to jump in here for race 2.
Yeah, we said a little bit earlier that the racing is very karting-like, where there's a lot of long trains, but didn't expect to see a little bit of pushing. Not anything that you really abnormal to see here on the road course, being able to get to the back of the cars and just give a little, hey, how you doing? Let's see if we could break the toe, break the draft, and instead of have this be a, 10-car fight for the win, maybe 2? Dana Moore and Kat, the same thing at the front of the field, just opting to be smart, make smart decisions here early on in the race. Don't want to do anything silly too early.
Taking a look with Alejandro Sanchez up over the top of the hill then, and looking to try and make some progress. Everybody is trying to find places. Damon Woods has just lost one out to Xander Reed, who's now inside the top 10. But Sanchez then working through to turn 7. patience needed. Your run out of 7 indicates whether you can get a pass or not, and that's good from Alejandro Sanchez. He's close enough to his teammate Dana Moore, and so the question will become, how do these drivers want to fight about it? There's no team championship here. It's all individuals amongst themselves. Another push on Kadlecic, but Alejandro is not waiting for anything. He's going to start making a look on Dana Moore. Can he put one over as the driver against his teammate? He gets pinched in on the apex. Kadlecic holds, but now here comes the drive.
Almost went for 2 there, did Sanchez. As we just lost Aaron Vasquez, he's already out of the race. So what a difference one race makes as we jump back onto the battle for the lead here. Kadlecic trying to hold off this Coanda stalwarts here onto the outside. Not a place you really want to be. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact. We headed to turn 3. It was calm for 2 laps. Jacob Sperry, it's all kicking off here towards the front.
It is, and now they're 2 wide, 3 deep, because you've got Alex O'Grady trying to stick his nose in. Phelps and Costa were side by side. This is what happens when you start defending around this circuit. Everything bottles up, and something's got to give on track. You can't have it too wide for the entirety of the run as you go through here, Keenan. You just have to sit down and be patient and wait for the chance to come to you.
I don't know if we're going to see this push from Sanchez again. We saw it in the last 2 laps, but it doesn't really work as much as a car with, bumpers. It does help a little bit, but the run from Amor, he almost cleared Sanchez and Kadlecic going into 10A and 10B. It's not going to happen this time, of course, a little bit of separation here, but look how much that 47 machine closes on our leader. Half a car length, quarter of a car length. He goes defensive. Does Sanchez move to the outside? No. Opts again. Smart, mature decision from Sanchez. He goes, I got some gap. I got my teammate behind me. I think I can trust him. So let's just try to wait and show our cards when it matters a little bit later in this race. We're only about a quarter of the way through.
Yeah, we've only done 3 laps worth of racing, and already they are knocking on the door of what they can manage here in terms of this race. Sanchez in second, Amor in third, and you're looking back down the train. It starts to cut off here at Cody Deeth in 8th place, where Zach Rattray right, Luke McEwen has moved himself up into the top 10, and Xander Reed Henry Moore has been stuck in the second pack by comparison. He's struggling with the likes of Augustine Bernier, for example, so really tough day at the office there. For Henry here, he's not getting the same heroics as he did in the opening round at Zandvoort, but now this gives a real chance for those who are looking at, how do I get points maxima? Well, it's get up to the front and get up there quick.
Yeah, I think towards the front, maybe they've just said, you know what, fellas? I think we've all got some pace. Let's calm down. Let's all race for a win here, at least in the second half of the race. Again, obviously, we have to see what happens here on the back straightaway, but nobody's told anybody in the middle of the field that. That's exactly what we saw in the first race. Big, heavy scraps towards that 15th position where the last points positions are paying out, and then top 5 or so just kind of content being single file, but no one told Sanchez that. Move to the inside, keeps his nose there. Kadlecic's going to be to the outside. They are all swapping positions now heading into our next lap.
Well, it was a cut across the nose that was critical, and now look at them. They're queuing up for a way past Kadlecic. It's Dana Moore who's trying to work to the inside. 3 Coanda cars side by side into turn 1. Then they sit behind with Isaac Phelps and Miguel Costa. Where do you want to go? Coming up the crest then and making this pass. Sort it out, lads. You've got to figure out what's going to be best for you. Rankin's going to be in trouble. There's a tap. Rankin's in the barriers then, and now we'll drop way down the order to the back of the pack. A big hit between him and Isaac Phelps, and that will give a huge jump up. I'll correct myself, it was Miguel Costa off the road over the top of Fico Sanchez. Dana Moore is clear.
There's Rankin again. We talked about maybe he could have the opportunity to be able to get the most amount of points out of today. That's going to put an understatement, a wrench in that plan. I wouldn't be surprised if that car's carrying some big damage as well. Wouldn't be surprised to see him in the pit lane as he drops down to 34th, Jacob. That's how fast the race can change here.
It's tough. He's got the black and orange mechanical flag, which indicates too much damage. Jaden Ladich, another one who has that. Felipe Cabrera Loyola with that. Felipe Pujol Dantas is another. So a lot of drivers who have had a lot of issues out there. So tough day at the office, and we are going to get a little look at just how quickly it can all go wrong. But a little look from the rear, because it continues to be a big battle. Zach Rattray White on board with Luke McEwen trying to get by.
I was about to say, look at that number 1 machine back there, Luke McEwen, up into the top 10. Obviously not where he wants to be. He wants to get rid of that 0 at the end of 10th position. but he'll snipe into 8th place. He is making moves, Jake Sperry. He's done a lot of movement and not a whole lot of time here. He still has a long way to go. He wants to make it up into 1st place, but that is Xander Reed sneaking past Zach Red Trey White, just making the good decision to get off the throttle there. Let that Coenda car through, but their time for patience is over now that we crossed halfway through with our race.
The Eclipse Simsport car completely eclipsed by McEwen and Reed, but your top two, they've got a gap here of 1.1. We talk about it here. If you get over 1 second, Keenan, that's it. Rubber band snaps. Car's going to go off then. In the background, in the wall, it's Cody Deeth.
Yeah, and it's about, Cody Deeth again, just coming back onto the racetrack there. That car looks like it's got some toe damage. We might see that one joining the graveyard in the pit lane. It's about 1 second, Jake, as you said, maybe 1.2, where that you're able to break the toe. And you want to know who knows that? Every single driver in this field. Dana Moore is just trying to be able to push our leader, Martin Kalitic. He knows that he's under pressure. It's not like that first race where there was no real pressure for the lead, maybe the one move from McEwen, and that was it. The 31 knows this move is coming, but it just knows that they're trying to break it and have it be a 2-horse race. It won't take long for that second pack to catch them. So maybe 1 or 2 moves from Moore until it is not just a 2-man conversation. But right now, just again, let's just be smart. Let's make good decisions. Then have this fight for the 2 of us to be for the lead, not 3, 4, 5, however many cars are training up behind them right now.
You can see it's relaxed from Martin Kadlecik. He's got the trophies in the background from his career. You've got Dana Moore. He looks absolutely intent. He is there looking to try and stare daggers down the heart of Martin Kadlecik at this moment. The concentration of the man from Trowbridge in Wiltshire is intense, and that is a hotbed for racing there, because just a few, 1 county over, or not very far away from Trowbridge, just so happens to be Froome. That's where Jenson Button was from.
Again, Dan opting to just be intelligent here, push the Czech driver forward and try to break that gap. As look behind them, he still has his teammate Alejandro Sanchez back there, but a mountain to climb, about 9/10 of a second separates second from 3rd place. That's going to be the talking point here as we enter the second half, or we are in the second half of our race. There's big changes towards the middle of the field. We had an issue with Graham Carroll. He's dropping back through the field. Espez dropping back as well. There is a couple cars facing backwards on the exit of 10A, 10B, but this battle for the lead is still very, very much alive as Dana Moore is in the rear view mirror on the gearbox of the Chechen driver of Martin Kedlicek.
Well, they brought, though, Alejandro Sanchez and Miguel Costa for parity. So it's not 2 at the front, it's 4. And just in the nick of time for those 2 drivers, they've realised, Keenan, over the course of this race, they've got to try and break away. And you can see that on Kadlecik's face. Oh, I thought we were clear, and we're not.
Yeah, it's just really, really smart driving from those 2 drivers behind, too. And obviously, they are not right to the bumper of these 2 leaders. As we jump in back on the battle back here, this is a 3-way dance. Luke McEwen, Isaac Phelps, and Alex O'Grady. Look at Luke McEwen just making the best out of a bad situation. Kind of crazy to say qualifying 13th is not optimal for him, but look at the difference between him and he is just grenaded his way up the field here as he's on the outside trying to find another position to break into that top 5.
Well, he started 13th, but he's got to try and get it. There's contact then between him and Phelps. Alex O'Grady might just pick up the scraps down the inside of the final corner, and he thought he had it all wrapped up, but no, you're still sick. Alex O'Grady, what a great move that is. He'll now go across defensive, try and keep it sorted, but now Phelps throws it back down the inside. Brilliant stuff. Luke McEwen, no respect for the champion.
Yeah, we saw Phelps was not afraid to make a move wherever he thought he was confident at Zandvoort. You're seeing that again. Big power move into turn 1. McEwen goes from 7th to 6th to 5th, right back to 7th, and the big winner out of that is Alex O'Grady, just making the best of the situation. Really great heads-up driving from the Irishman.
That's brilliantly done, and now you start thinking about what can you gain from it, and the man from Hemel Hempstead, Isaac Phelps, is going to be keeping himself steady. He knows that Luke McEwen is a very talented driver. He is the reigning champion after all, and he will now see that it's 5th at best that they're racing for. A look then at Isaac Phelps. He works hard here in the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship presented by Motor Racing. He knows he wants the move on O'Grady. In front of them, Sanchez trying to get back at Miguel Costa, but for the moment, it's a defensive line by Alex. Isaac Phelps will have to take the outside line and hope for a double cut back here out of 10B.
If you're able to just build that run, the farther back you are, I think Phelps going to go to the outside here. Grady's going to cover the inside. A little bit of banking to this final corner here at Road Atlanta, but look at the run now that Phelps has to the outside. Grady going to the inside. Is Luke McHugh going to try to push it 3 wide? We are having an argument here that's full on Donnybrook for 5th place.
Well, they are looking at this. They don't want to have a Gordie Howe hat-trick of a goal and assist and a fight, but at least at the moment they're having their fight right now, and they are doing what they can. You look around and you say, with 2 laps to go, it's tough. 4 to the floor for the race leader. Kadlecic heavy over the curve. That opens up Danamore.
Yeah, again, here's the big difference between these 2 battles is Amor is to the gearbox of Kadlecic. He can't build the same amount of run in the slipstream as those cars that are a little bit farther behind. He's trying to make it up by bump drafting, but again, no bumpers on these cars. You can't push. You can kind of give little taps. You can't get behind and really lean, or you'll crash both your cars. So Amor is doing the right thing, I think, and trying to be smart and hold on and wait for this to be a 2-horse race. But there's only so much he can do when he's right to the gearbox of the leader.
Oh, there's a big wiggle as they head themselves over, and now they're together and 3 wide for 5th. As they look back there, McEwen trying to go through. O'Grady's pinched out. He has to live. And so down to the inside, you've got Isaac Phelps there in play, who's just going to get enough for him. McEwen stuck on the outside now. And where do you go? Last lap starts, and it's on everywhere at the moment. Kadlecic having to defend for the race lead. Danamore trying to find himself an angle to get this sorted. Phelps now is going to be on the outside as they work to turn 1. That's going to bring the angle in then for the likes of O'Grady, who holds it steady. McEwen leaning on the tyre as well, but critically in line they stay. Miguel Costa is in 3rd, Alejandro Sanchez in 4th place. Now hold yourself steady, lads. Up the hill they'll go through the S's, and this will be where you open up that run. 10A and 10B. Kadlecic given a tiny bit of rope, but how much is he going to be able to run away and abseil down the mountain with? O'Grady will be keeping himself steady because McEwen wants championship points, and he wants them desperately, but Kadlecic runs himself out of 7, a little wide, and that opens Danamore's opportunity up, and he'll know that he has waited for all of this. He'll know how critical he's been trying to build this up, but they'll have another lap yet.
Yeah, he's got to go now. It's a table for 4 now for this lead position. Dan has done everything he can. He's trying to pitch. A little bit of wheel banging there, as it will and truly is a 4-way conversation. Gets him cleared before the corner. Can he make it stick? That's Kadlecic with the run to the outside. We are going to be 3 wide almost. I think that's Miguel Costa that thought better of it, but that's Dan Amor. The amount of patience from the Coanda driver, the 41 to the lead.
Oh, this is big, and they needed that. Kadlecic's going to get put out of it. 3 wide for 2nd as they work through. Sanchez's contact. Kadlecic finds himself off the back of the group then as they go. Phelps will have O'Grady, McEwen, Zach Rattray White and Zana Reeder back in that 2nd group. But now it's 3 at the front. It's going to be Danamore. It's going to be Miguel Costa, and it's going to be Alejandro Sanchez, who are now trying to work out where do they want to be, who's best placed, who's got the best run. And now this is where you try and work together, slow down Costa and give Sanchez a run, or does Danamore have it, or maybe you're just going to go for it straight away. They're at turn 6, baited in terms to the move, and now is it a bridge too far? Miguel Costa sees glory in his eyes and knows that he's got to hold this defense at 10A and 10B. Danamore tries to cross him back and will have the outside line into turn 10A. He'll have the inside at turn 9, and Alejandro Sanchez is closing, and Alejandro Sanchez is closing, and Alejandro Sanchez will push Danamore to try and give him a car length as he goes into the corner, covers it off. Miguel Costa's going to throw it back down the inside. Miguel Costa is going to need a run. He's not got it. Alejandro Sanchez straight back in for the podium. It's there. Oh, they almost spin each other. Danamore, the new boy at Coanda. He's going to get it. He's going to get it at Road Atlanta. What a win for the man from Trowbridge.
And then Martin Kadlecic end up picking up the last spot on the podium. It is teammates 1 and 2. What a move from Sanchez. Went for the bump, was able to secure the lead position for his team at Danamore, and then took up the scraps and picked up 2nd place. And your pole sitter led almost every lap, but unfortunately did not lead the last one, but still walking out with the podium. Martin Kadlecic, the Chechen driver, able to pick up that last step, but what a battle for the win, Jake, on that last lap. Exciting to say the least.
They almost had to spare their blushes at the end, but Dana Moore has got it done. 900th over Alejandro Sanchez, Martin Kadlecic and Miguel Costa, third and fourth. They played the game so well at Coanda. Isaac Phelps will take fifth. He'll beat out Luke McEwen in sixth and Alex O'Grady seventh. They brought Zach Rattray White there for Eclipse and Xander Reed for Coanda eighth and ninth, 10th, rounded out by Damon Woods.
We were on our seats there, Jake, for the battle for the lead, but there was battles all over the racetrack as we take a look at the final 5 positions paying out points. That's Augustin Bernier, Gail Valero, the 2 Frenchmen, 11th and 12th. Henry Moore, a race 1 winner, only able to scrape with a 13th position. Not bad, but definitely not the second day he wanted. Dino Filippa and Flavio Dantes will round out your points paying positions as Victor Morena, Kazuki Fujita, Jordy Slater, Shoma Shatani, and Ralph Benitez will be the rest of your top 20. Unfortunately, just not making those points paying positions.
21st would be Jaden Munoz. He dropped 9 over the course of that race. Yuta Saito, a gain of 16. Great work from him, as Declan Webb and Andre Castro would be 23rd and 24th. Graham Carroll will be the last finisher on the lead lap, with laps down for Yuki Okanogi, Benny Roberts, and Pablo Mercerat. And it will mean that it's retirees for Jackson Rosenda and Pablo Esbez. And then it's a litany of cars out to the race, Keenan, after that.
Yeah, a ton of issues. Again, that is just the way the cookie crumbles. And unfortunately, Aaron Vasquez going from what could have been a win to the bottom step of the podium. But talking about steps on the podium, we are with Dan Moore. Dan, it was a really smart, mature race from you. You were patient. You picked your time, but you had a little battle with your teammate there. Talk us through the last couple laps.
So last couple of laps, obviously coming into it, it's like race 1 for me was a little bit rough, I think, in testing. My pace was really nice at Zandvoort, and come quali, I couldn't quite string the lap together, so I was a little bit disappointed from race 1, and this one I was like, yeah, okay, let's just get the head back in, aim to score some good points, and obviously that's exactly what I've done. So quali really, really strong. Last 2 laps, it was just a matter of, I knew I wanted to be at the front onto the last lap, so obviously I made the pass on, I think it was Martin, ran the outside of the chicane. We almost got done on the switchback, but just about held it. And then come to the last lap, obviously just about kind of held my nerve out front, got a decent gap, and then huge shout out to Alex on the last lap coming down the back straight. He gave me a really nice push, and that just gave me the edge on Miguel that kept me around his outside, and then I could get a nice run off the exit. And then Alex, I think he got a bit confused. I think he thought I was going to go tight, and I ended up going middle, and he kind of got under the back of me and had a huge moment over the crest. But it was really nice from him to help me out, and overall really pleased with it.
Yeah, I guess that had to have been the plan throughout the whole race there. You were we saw so much fighting all across the field, but you just went with those pushes and ended up staying there. How much were you checking your rearview mirror to see how big that fight was going to be and all those cars behind you?
I was in the mirror a lot, I'll give you that. Obviously, I'm doing my best to focus on the track ahead of me when I was pushing Martin, but it's pretty simple, especially around here, to follow in this car. I find like you kind of just hit the markers of the guy in front of you, and Martin drove a really nice race out front for me, so I kind of just sat on his wheel tracks, but every time down the back straight is up, mirror, the relative, and slowly the guy started clawing in, but thankfully it was kind of a 4-way battle rather than a 15-car battle, where if it was it was really win or down to completely last. Glad it broke away as a 4.
Really, really smart race, Dan. Congratulations, and we'll see you at round number 3, wherever that might be.
Thank you.
And sitting here now with Alex Sanchez, P2. Went with the help with your teammate there. Obviously, you got to try to win the race, but how much were you thinking about the bigger picture there with your teammate trying to make a pass for the lead?
Oh, we're live?
I hope so.
Sorry. Yeah, well, bit of a misunderstanding on the exit of the last corner. I was going for the inside, but I saw he covered the inside, then I went for the outside, but he straightened up because he thought I was going for the inside. So a bit of mess up, but almost crashed him in the process, but in the end it was alright. So happy for the team, happy to get a 1-2, and looking forward to the rest of the races. The first race didn't go so well, but this one seemed a little bit better.
Yeah, I mean, it was fun for us to watch, so thanks for that. That was it was entertaining for us behind the booth here. How much were you thinking long game here? Because obviously you just said that your first race did not go so well. So, I mean, there may have been a move for you to be able to get the top step of the podium there, or was it just more, hey, we could get a 1-2 for the team, let's take the points, it's a long season?
I mean, a bit of both, really, because obviously Martin was going to try to stay ahead no matter what, because he was just going to get run over by us if we were like behind him, if it was like 3 of us behind him. So that would not have been ideal for him. So yeah, he drove quite defensively. In the end, I tried to put each of us in a position where we could both get to P1 and P2, but that was not possible, obviously, because I had Miguel also sending it in some corners, so I had to defend. But we managed to get there in the end with some great pace. Obviously, some crazy battles in the process, but yeah, I mean, it's a long championship at the end of the day, and rounds where you get no points are heavily punished. So I guess we'll wait and see until the next race.
Again, congratulations. Gotta be great for Coanda 1-2, and we'll see you at round number 3 again, wherever that might be.
Yep, hopefully we don't get rolling stars again.
And the man who led every lap almost in that entire race, Martin, it must have been a heck of a race for you. Again, to the front of the field, really great qualifying. Just unfortunately with that big long back straightaway, it must have just been a sitting duck as you had a Coanda C behind you.
Yeah, a bit of mixed feelings after the race, you know, after leading basically the whole race. To finish in P3 is a bit disappointing, but overall, I'm happy with the result because Road Atlanta isn't one of my strongest tracks. So, to be honest, I wasn't really expecting pole position here. But then obviously got a good start. It was a bit of chaos at the beginning. Then we broke away with Dan. He was smart trying to push me so we could get away from the guys behind. Unfortunately, they caught up 2 laps to the end, so yeah, it was always gonna be a 4-way fight. So yeah, got into a bit of a contact in turn 1 and then dropped down to P4, which was a bit unfortunate, but I'm still happy with the P3 overall.
Again, still a podium position for you. I know it's not where you wanted to finish, but how are we thinking now long game? Again, the great start to your season. You got a top 3 in the bag. Long way to go. Where are we thinking championship-wise now that we've got 2 rounds under our belt?
Yeah, obviously my goal is to try to be as consistent as possible, to get those top 5s like every round if possible. It's not easy. The grid is like so close together that it's really hard to focus in qualifying. If you make one mistake, you're starting P20, so it's really hard. But I'm just gonna try to keep finishing high up the order and see where that gets me.
Again, congratulations, and I can't wait to see you to go to a track you are confident at. Pole position and somewhere you're like, oh, well, we'll see. We'll see what we see from you for the rest of the season. Thank you for racing, and good luck in the rest of the season.
Thank you.
So let's take a look at how things all stack out after this. And Dan Amor has walked away with the championship lead after 2 rounds worth of racing. But my goodness, are you in with a close championship here. Keenan, look at that. Your top 6 split by 9 championship points. That is as much of a who's who season as it can get.
Yeah, and again, it changes so quickly. Aaron Vasquez barely in the top 10 there, just 1 point clear of Xander Reed. Elvis Rankin getting knocked out of that top 10. Obviously, we saw the issue in race number 2, and it's going to widen and tighten throughout the course of this season. So obviously, this is just setting the tone for the rest of the year. But the big name that jumps out to me is Luke McEwen. What a consistent day from him, and obviously a reason he's a champion in this series.
There is a reason why he only picked up 2 wins last season en route to his championship. His consistency value was 5 podium finishes, but even the small points are going to matter in a championship like this. We're not going to be here for next week, but a week after that is when rounds 3 and 4 are going to jump in with us and the FIA F4 Esports Global Championship presented by Moser Racing. And you won't know what that championship is, Keenan, or those races will be, until just what is one race coming up. You will know the day before on the 7th of November.
Yeah, well, 1 day to get ready, 1 day to do all that preparation, not for just 1 race, but 2, a monumental task for these drivers. But we're asking the most out of the best in the world, a global championship all over the world, the best F4 drivers that iRacing has to offer, Jake. And we saw that today. We're going to see that again in 2 weeks' time.
And what racing we have had here, both at the Circuit Park Zandvoort and the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. It is spooky season coming up as we find ourselves in October, but it's a case of frights for many in this field to start their season. But for one, it's a spooktacular delight that gives them what they want. Dan Amor, with a win, goes to the top, and he says, catch me if you can, as we head towards November and the halfway stage of the championship.